Evidence shows that global sea levels are rising at an increased rate and putting populations and natural environments in coastal regions and islands at risk. Coastal cities are facing possible flooding, which would cause a huge disruption in these regions' economies, residents' lives, and operations for any businesses transacting in the regions. Some countries with the most people in the low coastal areas include China, India, and the U.S. Countries with the largest share of their population living in low elevation areas also includes Netherlands, Egypt, Belize, and Gambia. About two-thirds of the largest cities in the world are at least in part in these at-risk areas. Using core samples, tide readings, and satellite measurements, National Geographic concluded that over the past century, the global mean sea level has risen somewhere from 4 to 8 inches. A key change that has occurred is in the past 20 years, the annual rate of the rising water has been 0.13 inches a year, which amounts to about double the average speed of the preceding 80 years. Of the factors contributing to rising water levels, some key ones include thermal expansion, which occurs because when water heats up, it expands. Physical forces are associated with tectonic activity and the extraction of water and resources such as gas and oil. These forces don't actually change the volume of the ocean, only the relative sea level. Another factor is large ice formations like glaciers and the polar ice caps naturally melting back a bit each summer, but not enough is replaced with snow in the winter. Increased heat is also causing the massive ice sheets that cover Greenland and Antarctica to melt at an accelerated pace. Lastly, ocean current variations are large regional ocean currents which move large quantities of water from one location to another. They also affect relative sea level without changing the actual volume of the ocean. From Bangkok to Miami, cities and coastal areas across the globe are exposed to the threat of rising sea levels. Rising sea levels are an obvious problem for the canal-laden city of Venice, Italy, which is threatened with the increased flooding as climate change pushes the waterline farther up. In southern Florida, Miami faces an equally difficult fortune, with parts of the city already showing to be underwater in many sea level projections for this century. For a country that has two-thirds of its population living below sea level, the struggles to battle rising water has been a focus for centuries in the Netherlands. With more than 1,000 miles of coastline, the San Francisco Bay is susceptible to a variety of natural disasters, including high tides, storms, and rising sea levels, all resulting from worldwide global warming. The 2000 census found that approximately 6.8 million California residents live in counties that border the bay, and over the past decade, the number only continues to grow. Evidence shows that the risk of flooding in the San Francisco Bay Area is already significant and will only increase going forward into the future. Based on a set of climate scenarios prepared by the California Energy Commission's Public Interest Energy Research, under medium emission scenarios, average sea level along the California coast will rise from 1 to 1.4 meters by the year 2100. In order to develop a successful solution for San Francisco, various players and strategies must be employed. These strategies are available include barriers, which can be placed in the form of large dams, gates, or locks that can manage the tide flow in and out of the bay; coastal armoring, which uses a linear protection strategy with levees and seawalls in order to fix the shoreline in their current place; and elevated developments that raise the height of land or the existing developments in a region and then use the earlier mentioned coastal armoring to protect these raised areas. Rising sea levels threaten any region's system of operations, including but not limited to transportation infrastructure, electric utility systems, power plants, stormwater systems, and many other man-made and natural systems such as schools, homes, hospitals, and businesses. In 1965, the San Francisco Bay Conservation and Development Commission was created in order to protect, enhance, and maintain responsible use of the San Francisco Bay, and in a way the region surrounding it, although the focus is on the bay itself. Many companies in and around the Bay Area have reason to invest in a project to protect the region. Some of the largest include, with no surprise, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, Intel, and of particular interest Chevron Corporation, the American multinational energy company. Brookfield Renewable Energy Partners is another company that may have reason of their own to be interested in financing at least a piece of a project this size for San Francisco. They recently spent $760 million to purchase Maine's 19 dams, which includes an existing $700 million in project debt. The dams offer 351 megawatts of capacity that fits nicely into Brookfield's current portfolio that currently holds 10 dams with 180 megawatts of capacity. The problem that rising water levels creates around the world is something that is unavoidable. No cookie-cutter approach can be applied to all coastal regions to save the residents, businesses, and infrastructure from the threat of damage. San Francisco Bay Conservation and Development Commission has already begun to look for innovative solutions. What is necessary is the next step of making their solutions a reality. BCDC, an advocate for the Bay, can work with architects to design a plan most viable for the area. Sharing the investment responsibility among Chevron and Brookfield, the two are able to create value for the project with the eventual sale of the energy that can be produced from the infrastructure they finance back to San Francisco. The investment would resemble that of an annuity, as they would own the structure and the electricity it produces going forward. The model can then be copied and modified to fit coastal cities around the world.